Hi, I'm Ali Ilott from Heritage Estate Planning. You may have seen some of our posts this week. They've been all around setting up trusts for children. So I thought I would jump on and do a video just as a quick summary in case you haven't really had time to read the post. So we've looked at various different trusts. We've looked at trusts that you could set up for your children so that they inherit at the age of 18. So a parent setting up this type of trust in their will would be called a bereaved minors trust. It is something called a bare trust, and in essence it really just means that your children will inherit absolutely at the age of 18. So this would be suitable for someone who thinks their children are really super sensible, number one, are perhaps less concerned about protecting the assets until a certain age, and really wants to try and reduce the amount of inheritance tax that could be payable on the trust, because there is no further inheritance tax on that type of trust. The second trust that we explored, again set up by a parent in their will, is the 18 to 25 trust. So this really is for somebody that's looking to protect the assets for the children up to a certain age, up to the age of 25. So that could be 21 or any age in between 18 and 25. So it provides a little bit more, I suppose, peace of mind, knowing that that money is protected until perhaps they're a little bit more settled in life. There could be inheritance tax payable on this type of trust from the age of 18. It really depends on the value that's in the trust. The inheritance tax would apply if the value of the trust exceeds the nil rate band. The nil rate band is currently £325,000. So to give you an example of this, if you had some money in a trust for your children and you wanted them to receive it at 21, so that's 3 years after 18, each year that goes by from 18 is subject to a 0.6% inheritance tax charge on anything above £325,000. So if you want your children to have access at 21, that would be 1.8% tax that would be payable on this surplus on the bit above the nil rate band. If you want your children to inherit at 25, obviously a few more years have gone past, and then this would mean a tax charge of 4.2%. So it really depends on the amount that's in the trust and whether or not it's more important to protect the assets until they're a little bit older, or if you perhaps would prefer to pay less tax, then the first one, the bereaved minors trust, might be more appropriate for you. If you choose an age older than 25, and I have had a few of these over the last year where people want to protect the assets until the children are 30 or 35 or 40, it's really just, number one, really thinking through the trustees that you put in charge of that. It's an onerous task. It is a really responsible task for anyone to take on, really. So it's really making sure that you pick the people you trust, the people that will be capable of fulfilling that role for you. And the additional tax can be quite a lot. It depends on the value that's in the trust. We're only ever concerned with the amount that's over the nil rate band. So that's the first thing to think about. But instead of the clock ticking from your child reaching 18, the clock ticks from when the trust is set up. So if you die when your child is 10, for example, the clock ticks from there. So it would be subject, the trust would be subject to a 10-year anniversary charge. So in this example, once your child got to 22, there will be a 6% charge on the amount that's over the nil rate band. And every 10 years after that. So that can actually mount up. If you work that out, if you put some big numbers in the trust, then that one is only to be explored, really, if you're much less concerned with inheritance tax and much more concerned with protecting the assets to a certain age. And there can be really good reasons for that. We do have a couple of trust guides which might be useful for you. One that specifically deals with trusts for children, and one that deals with trusts in general. So if either of those would be useful to you, please contact our office and we would be delighted to send those to you. Thank you very much.